Somebody was asking recently about open-centred trees. Well, you can see this is an open centre, almost a champagne glass sort of. It's got four main branches coming out. You can see that a big central branch was sawn out quite recently, and that's healing over slowly. But I'm not going to throw my hat through the middle, but you can see there's a big space in the middle of the tree. So I'm just taking a look at this. Actually, I'll put my tool back because you want to think about what you're going to do. Walk around the tree first. As I said before, the key to successful pruning is to understand your tree. Think about what you're trying to achieve. Right, the overall shape of this tree is pretty sound. It's pretty sound. Some of the branches are rather low. They fruited, branches tend to fruit, they pull themselves down, and then maybe they're too low, and you maybe cut them out and they're replaced by another branch. Here's an example for example. This fruited last year and it's quite low. This branch grew up and there's some fruit there. So that's the sort of cut I'm going to make, for example. In fact, I'll make that now because it's quite a good example of the sort of cut I'm going to make. You see why I'm going to make this cut. This is quite low, this is high, this will have fruit on it and this will pull down, and then maybe this one will grow and replace it. So be economical when you're doing your pruning. I like to begin by making a small number of big cuts and then go in and make a few smaller ones. That's one of the first principles. Here's a questionable thing here. Will I take this one off? What I'll probably do actually is I'll take that off to spare that. One tends to take out the branches that are a bit lower. And one of the principles of pruning is to remove ugly and diseased wood. And I'm sorry to say there's a lot of that here. We have had a lot of this really unpleasant, bark cracking. So this is basically fungus and years, last year particularly the heavy rain. And I've just taken that one clean out. I'm just coming around to a better angle to do that. Hopefully we'll get some new growth here. I'm going to take this as well, that looks similar, just unhealthy wood. When you saw out some big pieces of wood like this from near the middle of a tree, you create some space, and because of the way the tree regulates itself, it'll send some new growth up. This branch is getting a little bit too long out here. I think I'm going to saw this back a bit too. These is a winter king, by the way, and they're not in good shape. Again, you can see this, can't you? Some copper sulfate would have helped with that. This again is a bit low. If I take all of this out, we're going to lose quite a lot of fruit though. I could do it all the same though. Or shall I? Yeah. I am sawing these trees back more radically than I normally would because they made too much growth last year, and there's a lot of this unhealthy wood that grew. Just to draw the line somewhere. Okay, I don't think I need any more big cuts. Actually, I'm going to take that one out there because I want to encourage a bit more air and light into the tree. I want some new young shoots to come up from there. In fact, we've got a few nice shoots. These will, that one will, again I'm taking this out, sorry I'm rambling a bit. I'm trying to think, I haven't planned this in advance, I'm just thinking as I prune. Whew, that's possibly taken a bit more out of the tree than I would have liked. This I'm going to leave. This is growing into. I'll probably do next year is make this will probably send some shoots up from here now. So what I'll do probably next year is make a cut there, and the following year there, because this is growing a little bit too high actually, but I don't mind that too much. Yeah, I wish I had a better tree to show you. This is not a very pretty one. But again, this is what I'm about, showing things as is rather than as might be. I don't like that. It's good to tidy up as you go. Ideally, you'd have a boy, or two boys, or a boy and a girl. Ideally, probably following you and tidying up and picking up. But I don't run to that sort of luxury. But you have two daughters. One of them is at Reading, studying food science, I'm glad to say. The other one is handicapped, and neither of them work in the orchard. What I'm doing now is just doing a little bit of cutting back to fruit bud, leaving a few branches where I feel like leaving them, removing stuff that's a bit overcrowded, tending always to take the lower branch and leave the upper one. The upper one will be a bit stronger usually and receive more light. Tending usually to take the lower branch. Cutting back to allow more light and air into the tree. By the way, it's a good thing for the person who does the pruning also to do the rest of the tree management. And when I say that, I mean the fact that I spray these trees, and that also I'm here. I pick the fruit as well. I spray them and I pick them. I know what errors in pruning can look like when you come to pick the fruit. Errors in pruning, it's not been pruned very well. It's more difficult to, it's too bushy and the spray doesn't penetrate the tree so well. And again, it's harder to pick the fruit. And as I've so often said, thinning is critical. Particularly with this variety more than some others. I can't give an explanation for every single cut I make. That would just be too laborious. I've never finished a job. The general principles are that the tree can only bring a certain amount of fruit to maturity, and very often a tree will produce more blossom and therefore more fruit than it can realistically ripen. And so the job of pruning to some extent is to regulate the production of fruit bud and to optimize the distribution of fruit bud so that it's spread evenly throughout the 3D envelope of the 3D envelope of space that the tree occupies. And we don't want trees growing too high either. We want the air and light to penetrate the tree maximally or optimally. Okay, well that's just about finished that. This is not a perfect tree, not a perfectly shaped tree by any means at all. It's looking a lot better than it was a little while ago. There's another typical example of your three branches are a bit too close together. What am I going to do? One of them's got to go. Which one? That one, I think. Again, these are underneath. They get less light. Also, they pull the tree down more than you want with a heavy weight of fruit. Sort of makes sense. The way I prune, I suppose, is a sort of cross between the renewal system, and spur pruning, and a little bit of the Lorette system. I usually prune in summer as well. I think that's probably enough for that one.